Now we're going to get down to the nitty-gritty of what Indians are all about.
I still say we Indian people are believers in the truth. This is the way of life that was given to your people. You're born an Indian, you're going to die an Indian. Indianness is a good life. You're facing an Indian this afternoon.
Good Saturday afternoon out there, everyone, and welcome into your number one source for Native American television news, Native News Today. I'm your host, Jason Salzman, from here in the Muskogee Media Studios as we get ready for this week's program. Got a lot of things to get to, a lot of great features this week. Go back to more of our features being led with this episode rather than the hard news, but that's all right. We're going to have a little bit of both all the time. We've got a lot of hard news for you on our website, MuskogeeMedia.com. Want to push a lot of people to that. A lot of things happening there. We've got a new daily live stream that we have on there called Indian Time that we're really excited about. We talk about the day's news and we do it in more of a relaxed, informal setting. So it's kind of just us and our, our analytics of what's going on and our analysis. All that good stuff is happening. So it's a really nice, and we're getting good feedback on it. So we're going to keep rolling with that there on the website. Also, lots of things to get to on our online channel as well. So just a great time here at Muskogee Media, and really specifically for the video department. We've got lots of great things to share with you today. Lots of good stories coming your way. We'll revisit the Canoe Project, which is now reaching its climax, its ending, and we'll have that for you today. We'll take a look back at the earlier stages and now the finishing touches. Also, we'll go to a Muskogee citizen that owns a dance studio. Pretty neat there. And we'll also revisit a video that's gaining lots of popularity from us that we put out a few weeks ago. So we'll have all that for you and lots more on this week's episode. Don't go anywhere. Be right back.
Looking for your next 18-hole adventure? Then take a look at Fountainhead Creek Golf Club. Nestled in the beautiful confines of Lake Eufaula State Park, large sloping greens and well-placed bunkers characterize the Muskogee Creek Nation's Floyd Farley designed course and offers a fine test of skill for any golfer. Stay up on all the latest gear and equipment with a visit to our pro shop. Have lunch at the turn at the Clubhouse Grill. We're waiting to accommodate you at Fountainhead Creek. Give us a call at 918-689-3209 or visit fountainheadgolf.com to book your next round. Fountainhead Creek Golf Club, close to home, far from ordinary.
It's more than just an associate degree. It's a life-changing experience.
You'll see a lot of cultural features here on the campus. You'll see a symbol of the mound, which goes back to the history of Muskogee people as being in that Mississippian time period, that mound building society. That really welcomes our students whenever they first get here.
The college in itself is beyond the building, is the people.
They're passionate, very passionate about what they teach, and it shows whenever they're teaching.
The instructors and the administration, they really believe in their students here.
After a couple classes, I began to notice that it kind of felt as if I were returning back to something that had been lost for like a long time. As I learned more about the history of my people, to discover that there were very many great people that did a lot of good things for their people, for their nations, and that those people were American Indian and Native American, it kind of brings out a sense of pride that was not really there before.
There is a future for our people.
And welcome back to the program. Jason Salzman here as we get started with this week's episode. And the first feature today will take us back to October of last year, where we were first introduced to the Canoe Project, the Dugout Canoe Project, done by the Cultural Center and Archives Department in conjunction with several folks from Alabama, our original homelands, also folks from the Bowshooter Society, John Brown, other individuals, all coming together to make it happen. And this was from back in October. We're going to show you this feature again because we kind of want to set up to where we're at now with the Canoe Project. Back then, the log had been selected, cut down in Alabama from around the Horseshoe Bend area, actually. Very historic, very meaningful spot for us Creek Indians. It's a great story, the full circleness of bringing that log, which, you know, could have been up to 200, more than 200 years of age. So bringing it back here, fashioning it into a canoe for our archives department, and we were there back in October as they started the process.
I'm out here to teach the Muskogee Creeks here in Okmulgee to build a dugout canoe. We were people of the water. We lived on the rivers, and canoes were critical. And there's literally evidence that there were thousands and thousands and thousands of canoes back in Alabama and Georgia. So they were ubiquitous. They were everywhere. And for us to do this here is probably the most appropriate thing we could do, I think, as far as a tribal skill to pass down. This canoe has particular significance. We got 2 logs from this tree. One of those logs will be used to build a canoe at Horseshoe Bend Military Park, which is the site, of course, of the last battle of the Creek Indian War. And the other will be built here. So that's a kind of a continuation of the past. We've got a canoe at the last site and a canoe at the new country. Right now, we're just doing kind of what we call stock removal. We're removing wood. And we're removing wood. This is a green log, so we can't burn it. And we're using modern tools, chainsaws, axes, all kind of cutting tools to get this stock out. And then as we get the log dry, then we will start the burning process. So we'll be here 5 days this week. Should have the bulk of the removal work done at the end of this week. Then we'll let it dry for about 3 or 4 months. And our plans, we're going to finish a canoe at Horseshoe Bend next March during the festival, which is kind of a commemoration of the battle. And what we hope to do is to finish this canoe at about the same time, coincidental with the completion of that canoe. So 2 projects, 2 separate events, and yet we hope to tie them together that way. We hope to bring some of the people from Oklahoma back to Alabama to finish that canoe as well.
So today we're at the Muskogee Nation Dome here on the tribal complex here in Okmulgee. We're witnessing the first day, the actual carving of a traditional poplar log dugout canoe that our Muskogee ancestors would have utilized back in the day, if you will. Again, going back to 1800s, 1700s, 1600s, and beyond. And what we're doing here essentially is now we've brought this canoe back, or this log back from the Horseshoe Bend, Alexander City, Alabama area. And this is now October 13th, second week of October, which we're actually going to start phase 2. Phase 1 was actually processing the log in Alabama and bringing it back here to Oklahoma. Phase 2 now is actually carving the log out a little bit, and we brought in Butch Fuller, who's actually from the Alexander City area there in Alabama, who is a renowned, I guess you'd say, a wood craftsman in that area. He's done canoes before. He's done a lot of log cabins that he's restored, even old Muskogee cabins back in the 1800s as well too. So a lot of knowledge with him that we've contracted to bring him out to really help us, you know, to educate ourselves on how this process would have been done in the most traditional manner as we can. Again, we're not necessarily trying to recreate a traditional canoe. What we're trying to do is remember our traditional lifeways and our traditional materials. I'm bringing this here to Creek Nation, and again, reminding us about our ancestral homelands, reminding us about the process of what we would have done to make our way in the world. Again, those canoes back in the day, back in Alabama, would have been our SUVs, our Ford pickup trucks going along the highways, which would have been Tallapoosa, Coosa River, all those rivers that were there. So for us, it's kind of just, again, bringing back a little bit of home here in Okmulgee here, and kind of remembering who we are as people as well.
All right, and as you can see, back in October, some familiar faces, some old faces, some new faces we look at there, and want to thank Justin Giles for his time with the Archives, Cultural Center and Archives Department, and getting that started and providing us with that interview back in October. Now we go to today, and this week is Canoe Week here at Muskogee Creek Nation, as they have brought it back and are finishing it at the Claude Cox Omniplex. You folks can go, throughout this week. We'll already have been done with it from now, but that canoe will be fashioned throughout the week. It's being finished up at the Claude Cox Omniplex. A lot of people have been going over there all week, seeing it done. Citizens just stopping by, and we got a chance to talk to not only Butch Fuller, who is the woodworker that was in charge of really fastening the project, but also John Brown about the finishing touches being put on this project, bringing it back, getting it ready to put in the water, getting it ready to be on display for Muskogee Creek people. A part of our past come back to life.
Well, we're trying to finish up our traditional dugout canoe. We went to Alabama and got this tree, and it's been a long process. We did one down in Alabama, and now we're doing one here in Altmaugy. So it's been real good. It's been real good. You know, our teacher, Mike Berryhill, who just recently passed away, this was his idea. He always had a dream about doing a canoe, so I was just lucky enough to get the chance to do it. The size of it's been a big difference. Working with this big of wood and just how they done it back then has just been amazing. There's no way that we could have done it like that, you know. So we've had a little help with some different tools that we're using today, but yeah, it's been a real big project. You know, people down in Alabama really accept us. We're just almost like celebrities when we go down there. Everybody's just real nice to us. We've met Butch and Charlie Chambers down there. They was really good to us when we went down there and stayed when we was working on the Alabama canoe. They put us up in their homes, and which we're trying to do the same thing for them back here. They cooked us a lot of home cooked meals, and so we're going to try to have a little wild Indian dinner for them before they take off and go back home. Give them some fried bread and wild Indians. This week we're going to do the final burnout, and we had to let the wood dry out and cure out. It just was real wet, and so this process of letting it set all winter long is a lot like our bow wood, where you have to let the wood dry out and cure out. So that's been the process. We really hope to take this out to schools, special events that the Creek Nation's putting on, different towns, different communities. It's my understanding that they're going to try to have it put over at the college and stored over there, but there's been talks about maybe getting it enclosed and maybe some plexiglass, getting a trailer where we can actually take it. The people in Alabama has asked us to bring it back. They want us to bring it back into Moundville. We hope to go down and do a bow shoot in October. We're going to try to take a few tribes with us, the Cherokees and the Chickasaws, their bow groups, to go back down there, and they've asked we bring it back down there. And also at Horseshoe Bend, they've asked, which the sister canoe is down there, and they'd like to see them both together. We're going to take it. That was one of the deals when we decided to do this, and the Culture Department asked us about actually making this canoe. That's what we told them. We not only did we want to do it and it be the memory of Mike Berryhill, but we want to make sure it floats. We're going to take it to the water and see.
It's just something we've been anticipating a long time, coming back and working on the final phase of the canoe. Of course, we finished the one in Alabama in the interim, and it was very successful. Had a lot of Oklahoma folks there to help on it as well. And so it's really gratifying to come back and kind of complete the cycle here. We left the canoe in kind of a middle stage. Just about half of it was dug out, and we didn't want to expose too much wood. We wanted it to dry a little slower. You've got a really dry climate here compared to us back home. And so we came back yesterday, we finished the digging out process. And so now we're working on the really the finalizing process, thinning the walls and things like that, getting everything ready for the final sanding, that sort of thing, and doing the final shaping. So we're real close. This log, of course, you know, every piece of wood's unique, just like people. And it has dried a lot more rapidly than our Alabama log did because of the humidity. We're almost, when we leave Friday, this canoe's gonna be ready to put in the water almost, maybe another couple of weeks. And so it's been real good. It hasn't checked much, so it's in good shape as a boat. And I think it'll make a fine, fine canoe.
All right, and it will be very integral for a lot of people around here to keep an eye on what happens with the canoe and where it's going to be and where it's going to be exhibited. We will have all that information for you, not only here on the show, but on MuskogeeMedia.com, some behind the scenes footage, things like that, putting the canoe into the water. Keep up with us on all of our outlets to see all of that as it develops. I know that a lot of people have put a lot of hard work into that project, and we're just so glad to see it finally coming through and at its end stages. It's going to be a really a big treat for a lot of our people. Well, moving on, as I said from the opener, we have a Muskogee citizen in the Oklahoma City area, a Creek citizen that has opened a dance studio, a ballroom dancing instructor's studio where you can actually go and learn. And actually one of our also Creek citizens that's heading up the Red Stick Warriors Association, Mr. David Frank, he's also a ballroom instructor. So really a lot of neat uniqueness here in this story, and we're glad to bring it to you.
My name is Gary Bramlett, and I'm the Vice President of Dance Makers. Well, we teach any style of dance that you do with a partner socially, and line dancers also. So we'll teach all your standard ballroom dances. We teach swing, Latin, country western, just about anything that people ask. If it's a social dance, we usually know it. I was in management for 10 years before I started dancing, and my wife started training me to dance and eventually talked me into doing this. I originally had no intention of it, but it's a unique job, and it's a skill that not very many people have. We have been teaching ballroom dancing for 30 years. Well, I like the traditional ballroom dances, so it's hard to determine which one that I like the best. Probably foxtrot. I like the music the best. You know, you have the old Frank Sinatra songs and things that you dance to. Well, the technique to foxtrot, you know, they say is the characteristic of it is like a stroll in the park. And you know, so you get into that character when you're dancing, especially professionally, and it's very smooth and it's very elegant, and it's hard. It's really it ends up being the hardest dance that you'll learn technique-wise. But we put on the Oklahoma Challenge. We're probably in our 13th, 14th year, I forget. And it has become one of the largest dance competitions in the region. We had people from all over the United States, and even one company from Canada came this year. So, you know, dancing, everybody comes in for a different reason. And dancing is usually the last reason why they come in. You know, maybe their husband or their wife passed away, or maybe they've gone through a divorce, or maybe the husband and wife, the children are out of the house and they're looking for something to do together. And so when somebody comes into our business, they have absolutely no idea what they're getting into. They're just coming in to take a few lessons. And what happens is, you know, we show them, you know, we have a whole social atmosphere here. So they come in, and not only do they learn to dance, but they also make friends. We have a party every week, and it's really it's class. We're teaching them to dance, but we disguise it and we simulate a nightclub, and they come in and dance for an hour, hour and a half each week, and then of course we put on several other different venues so that they can use their dancing so people have a place to belong to.
All right, want to thank those folks there again at Dance Maker Studio for having us up, and want to thank not only them, but Amanda Rutland and Darren DeLon from Muskogee Media for going and taking care of that story for us. Darren doing a good job putting it in the paper, and Amanda, of course, with the videographer work accompanying him on that assignment. So thanks to those two and the good people at Dance Maker Studios. Well, as I said in the beginning too, a few weeks ago, we showed on the program Tafumbaji, a little short film I put together about the gathering, picking, stories, taste, everything that goes into wild onions. And Tafumbaji, that is the Creek word for wild onions. That's what we use to say for wild onions. And so that's what I entitled it. Everybody around Creek Country knows what you're talking about when you say that word. So it's been very popular. Big time online response to it. Rusty Gertie, all those folks down there in Porham, loving it too. So I thought, why not just show it one time, bring it back again to the folks here on Native News Today.
I grew up out in Kellyville, and Habron Lake is always where my mom used to take me to get away from everything. It's really relaxing out there. We used to just go out there and sit and pick onions with my mom. She would tell me stories, and it was why she was digging. It was just like she had a story for every time she was digging an onion out. And she would teach me how to go through the dirt and sift through the onions and pick the garlic out from the onions. And she'd make me fill the holes back up with the dirt after we picked them. I like to go pick onions usually after it rains, because after a rainy day it's easier to cut into the ground and then pick through all the mud, because it just kind of falls apart. And your onions, it's just easier to break that dirt apart and get your onions out. Usually my mom always tells me that whenever the onions they got the big fat heads on them, she said those are going to be the tougher onions. She said those are the ones you really got to know how to cook. She said usually only the experts know how to cook those, because you have to cook them a lot longer. My mom always tells me just put a little bit of water on your onions and let them soak. That way it helps the dirt come off of them, makes them a little easier to clean. I've watched my mom do it after she cleans them. I've seen her use a knife to cut them in pieces, and then I've seen her use scissors, because she likes the scissors because they're easier, because you can just hold them in your hand and just cut them as you're going down.
Okay, I'm going to add a little bit of grease to it, but not a whole lot. Just enough to like cover your pan. Take time and keep stirring them, They're going to come out where they're all cooked, and they're not going to be undercooked, and they're not going to be overcooked. You just have to stay over it and wash your food, and it'll come out like you want it to. Get your eggs all beaten. You don't want to put no salt in it because you already got salt in your eggs. You don't want to put too much eggs in it because then you're defeating your purpose. You just want to put little eggs in there to add with your onions. You don't want the eggs to overcome your onions because you want to get the onion taste because that's what you wait for. Everybody waits for the onions. By not adding so much water, you get the flavor of everything. If you add too much water, it takes away the flavor, not only from your onions, but your eggs as well.
All right, that'll wrap it up for another episode of Native News Today. We want to thank everybody out there for tuning in and for telling everybody, all your friends, your family. You know, we have just grown in popularity over the last year and a half, it seems, so much as we've steamed towards our 500th episode. You know, our new status as a statutory executive independent agency here at Creek Nation has really took off with our coverage. You know, sometimes the show suffers a little bit from our duties now on a day-to-day basis. We're having to get a lot more news out. We're having to do a lot more content. You may see, you know, stories, repeated things like that, more so than you have in the past, just because we don't have as much time as we did to go out and get all of those things. We're really hooked up with a lot of things, chasing news here at the tribe and getting the information out to our citizens. And with doing the daily streams, things like that, we just have more responsibilities. That's all there is to it. So bear with us as we get in a groove of our new sort of our time constraints, things like that. We will get in the groove just like we always do with our schedule and our production throughout the week. So that definitely letting you know there's good changes happening here at Muskogee Media. We've rebranded, put out a full new logo, everything on all of our material, and it's a great time around here. So we want to thank you for sticking with us through all that. We're gaining subscribers daily. We're gaining new followers on Twitter. We're gaining new likes on Facebook. A lot more people checking out the stuff. So we want to thank you for that. Please go to our online channel. Stay up with us on YouTube. Native News Today will get you there to our channel, and also MuskogeeMedia.com for all of the great things happening on our online interface for our citizens. So for Jason Salzman, Jared Moore, Devaney Luxinger, all the people here at Native News Today that really make it go throughout the week, there's all kinds of people behind the scenes that make it happen. So I want to thank everybody that had a hand in this episode. I want to tell you all to have a great week. We'll see you next Saturday, same time, same place.